Okay, welcome back everybody. How's it going, Critter Family? This is part 2 of the video of Joel Beckman working with an untrained pit that tries to attack Prince, in his words. If you haven't seen part 1, description will be in... If you haven't seen part 1, the link will be in the description below. This one should have a lot less of my ranting in it, but, you know, I still talk a lot anyway. So, if you didn't see in the first one, and you want to see this whole video interrupted, then check out his title, Joel Beckman, and that's his video title, and you can watch that first, and then you can come watch mine. So we're going to get started.
He'll do that. He probably won't put her in her place. She's a pretty bold dog. Let Prince out.
So I wonder what kind of collar... Okay, I don't know why they got her... Oh, so I guess this is just like a backup collar? Does he have them both connected?
Yeah, there's a dog, dude.
So she sat already when he pulled back on her. So either she's learning because he's super forceful, or she sat because she's nervous and she doesn't want to have her back to him, so she kind of stalled there. And then he gets close enough, and then that's too close, and so she starts to react. This staring and this watching, she's way over threshold. She's not going to be able to listen. She's not learning anything. So in the previous video, I talked about my plan for how I would teach this. I will quickly go over it now. If I were working with her, first we would work on loose leash walking. Getting her to give in lightly. None of these jerks and pops and yanking. I would have her on a harness that clips in the back. We would work on loose leash walking. Then we would practice getting her mind a little bit tired out. Check out Sorrow Dog Training. I did a video of his where he says you can tire your dog out in 5 minutes with play and training. And then when we're ready to work with dogs, I would first have her at a distance. I wouldn't have a loose dog for sure. I mean, that's for certain. And I would have her at whatever distance she needs to be at, to where she can be sitting like this, but calmly. She's very tense here. Where she can be looking around, watching the butterflies, smelling the roses. And if I call her, make a little kissy noise, or her owner preferably makes a noise, and the dog is able to look at the owner, and the owner would reward, that means we're below threshold. And we would work there for a period of time. Walking around, sniffing with the other dog at a distance and staying there. And slowly we would decrease the distance between the two dogs. We would practice with her moving while the other dog is stationary, and then we would reverse the roles and practice her being stationary and the other dog moving. If at any point she reacts, we would increase distance. She would get further away from the trigger, or the trigger would get further away from her. So she's still holding herself back. This is anxiety, is what I see. She's still holding herself back, sitting there kind of low and close to the ground, because Prince is now outside of his little fenced area. So, that's the interesting thing about dogs. They'll bark at each other and go fighting through a fence, but as soon as the fence is removed, then they act really fearful. So they're not necessarily trying to be aggressive and start a fight. It's just that opposition reflex. It's that barrier frustration, barrier reactivity. She's also on a leash. She feels trapped. She has a muzzle on. So she doesn't want to cause harm. She's nervous, and she doesn't know how to communicate that. And people aren't listening to her. Her own person just sees it as the dog is being disrespectful and doesn't listen. But the owner isn't listening to her own dog.
Get Prince.
So he is certainly not helping, because he's sitting here, he's staring at her. She feels trapped. This is not helpful at all. And why she may be wanting to get to him? Because when he's staring, she's trapped. She feels pressure, whale eyes. I think she's trying to get him before he gets her. She is basically shark bait. And he's not helping matters. What I would expect of a demo dog is for him to not be staring at her, him to be minding his own business, going over here sniffing, trusting that he trusts his owner, that he can show his back to her, or he can sit down, or go do whatever, not get in her face and stare at her and be stiff. I mean, I know he can't really help, like, the ears being super stiff, or like the tail, being short and docked and whatnot. I mean, it's still, if it was his natural tail, it might be curled over, so meaning it's super stiff, but this is not helping. This is not dominance. He tries to call this pure dominance. It's not. I see it as just, she's very fearful and she doesn't know what to do. She has a lot of pent-up energy and he's just using force and aggression to shut her down. So now she's defending herself. He's basically just tying her up and holding her down and allowing Prince to come over and just take advantage of that. And put his mouth over the back of her neck and try to, he's the one who's the pure dominance, if you're going to label anything. It's not Prince's fault, but he's been raised by this dummy, in my opinion, to be this way. And dominance is a momentary thing. So he's over here trying to take advantage. I mean, he's just being a dog. But if I were her, I would fight too. She doesn't know what he's going to do. She is shark bait. She is defending herself. I think if she were off leash, that would be a totally different ball game. If they were off leash and she were to run up to him and he were to correct her, I would say, okay, she asked for that. But I wouldn't suggest you do that. I would never do that. I mean, I had one client and we only did it once, and it was like the one time I saw the client where they were absolutely adamant that they had to have these dogs meet, and it was what it was. So I was like, okay, if you want these dogs to meet, we're gonna have them both muzzled, and we're just gonna let them go and see what happens. I mean, thankfully it worked out well. We did condition the muzzles, so that is important. And I don't do that. I haven't done that since. That was when I first started out. I was like, all right, this person really wants the dogs to meet. I would rather do it as safely as we possibly can versus just letting the dogs go duke it out and seriously injure each other. But I don't recommend just doing that. I don't recommend this either.
Prince! Good.
So he called him, but he didn't really stop the way I would have expected him to. If Adonis were, getting in somebody else's business, which he's done before, and I'm like, hey, Adonis. And if he's gone after Hermes before, where he's, he was just pushing Hermes a little bit, playing too rough. And I'd be like, hey, or I'd be like, Adonis, just out of nowhere. And then he would stop and then I would say, okay, come here. Good job, thank you. And then I would separate them. And obviously it was my fault to begin with because I put, chances are I put Hermes and Adonis in a situation where Adonis got too excited. But see, now she's very fearful. She's a female. He's in her business sniffing. He just thinks that he can just do whatever because he allows him to. I think this is very rude just to run up to a dog and sniff. Whale eyes. She's cowering. She's just defending herself. She doesn't care about your good girl. She's basically between a rock and a hard place. She doesn't care. She's not learning anything but shutting down and learned helplessness. This is what she's learning. Learned helplessness.
Girl, you're okay. I know.
No, if you know, then don't have Prince out here flooding her. This is not anything new. I've seen this time and time again. This to me is just anxiety and she feels trapped. This is not her being dominant. This is not any kind of aggression.
You're okay. Bella.
She doesn't hear you. She doesn't care. She doesn't know what you're saying.
You're okay. I know. He's your friend.
No, he's not, and he doesn't have to be. Your dog does not have to be friends with every other living creature or dog they see. Many dogs do not like other dogs. I hate to break it to you, but dogs do not always like other dogs. Adonis did not like other dogs. He loved people. He loved kids. He did tolerate Hermes, and he was a very good boy for it. But he did not like other dogs, and mostly because other dogs are rude. The dogs that we ran into, Adonis was attacked several times while he was on leash and we were minding our own business, and some loose jerk-off's dog, let their dog run up to him and cause trouble. And so then I became the person who would scare that dog off and teach it, you don't come anywhere near me or my dog. Because the stupid human would not listen.
He's your friend.
No, he's not, and he doesn't have to be.
He's your friend. I want to get her with a dog. I want to get her with a nice dog.
He's not a nice dog. He should have done this from the beginning. And this is just flooding. She's not going to generalize this action or even the action with interaction with another nice dog. Actually nice, meaning appropriate dog that's not going to just get up in her business and start nonsense. Prince is, by the way, smelling where she peed earlier. Even if he has her with another nice dog or two other nice dogs or dogs that are calm, and it doesn't mean she's going to generalize that when she goes back home. It takes a lot more work than just taking her. The problem is she does not need to go and be working with other dogs. The owner needs to work with her dog, trusting her. Joel thinks the only way to solve any dog's problem is to have them run around with another dog. That's not realistic in my book.
Fix dogs with other dogs if they never see other dogs.
She can see other dogs, and she can absolutely be helped, not fixed. I mean, you can say fixed, whatever you want to say. She can be helped by seeing other dogs, but she doesn't actually have to interact with them. And they should always be kept on their own leash, and everybody should be safe. None of this, I'm free to do whatever, and I'm shark bait.
Possible. It's literally impossible.
No, it's not impossible. Again, just a lie. You can absolutely have your dog be fine never being around another dog. If you just teach them that other dogs are just like a tree or just like a bag blowing in the wind, and it's possible. You could teach your dog to entirely ignore everything in the world except for you. It's helpful to be able to see dogs from a distance so your dog can tolerate them, but they don't have to be friends. But this is not the one-all be-all or anywhere close to how I suggest or whatever suggest training your dog to be okay with other dogs, because she's not going to be okay with other dogs. As soon as this muzzle comes off, as soon as she's off leash, she will bite another dog. She's a ticking time bomb. And notice how the owner is just, she's sitting there like just with her arm, like she's showing, as a human's body language, she's showing she's very shy. She's not trusting, she's uncomfortable. She's probably more worried that Prince is going to get hurt versus her own dog. And this doesn't help that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of eyes on this dog. Oh, 6 with the camera. This dog is just being flooded. This is not helping anything. And this is certainly not going to help the owner. The owner's not going to be able to correct the dog the way Joel is. And even then, it's not going to help anything. To me, this is pointless. Oh, of course, he has her on a head halter. Right? She might be on the collar, but I'm assuming she's on a head halter. Yep, she's on a head halter. So then he didn't have enough, so he had to cheat, of course, because the one tool in his toolbox is a hammer, or in this case a head halter, and he puts it on every dog to fix every problem. Still whale eyes, she's leaning into pressure. He's over here like, hey, I can get, petting. This dog gets more praise from the owner than her own dog does from her. And it's nothing personal against the owner. I'm just saying this is all just a waste of time. Absolutely a waste of time. He's not going to help this dog at all. If anything, he's going to make her worse. She's going to rely on either a prong collar or a head halter or a muzzle forever. This is just nonsense.
Boy, Princey. So it's starting?
Okay, so how did they get in here? What happened between there? He makes a lot of cuts. He's letting her run to the end of this leash. It's just, so if it didn't work well out in the open, now he's putting them in a fenced area, a smaller area. You're just going downhill.
To be more playish. Ever so slowly, it's more playish. Which is why
I don't think so. I don't see that as playish, even in the slightest bit. I see her as stressed. I'm glad that Prince is trying to play and run around. I think that's great. But dude, she don't want to play with you. She doesn't want to. She is just stressed.
Said that we are going to not stop this. Before it was not play. Now there's like a
he wasn't going to stop it anyway. He just does this and tires the dog out for an hour. This is not going to make any progress. It is just stress. And you tire the dog out, you wear their butt out, and then you say, look, we made progress. No, you didn't.
Weird play aspect to it.
I don't see any play. I don't see any play from her. And I don't see, that wasn't desensitizing. That was oversensitizing. That was flooding. You didn't desensitize her to squat, dude. Hence why you had to have not only an extra collar on, which if you're not using it, why don't you take it off? But you had to put the head halter on her. I don't see what he's saying.
Sensitization. And
She just can't breathe. She's
I'm
super
gonna
stressed.
Use you as a inanimate object
Ouch.
in order to get this muzzle off.
She's fighting the muzzle. She's fighting the head halter. She still can't walk on a loose leash. I would never expect her to learn that in one lesson anyway. But see, he has tunnel vision. He thinks that if I could just get her to look slightly calmer on another dog, in one session, we fixed her.
Because I want it off. She's actually pretty good on the muzzle. She's saying, I'm going to rub it on you because you mean nothing to me.
No, she's stressed. Of course you mean nothing to her, dummy. She doesn't know you. You've done nothing but hurt her. You put a head halter on. She's not conditioned to the head halter. You're yanking her face around. Of course, you don't mean anything to anyone, especially not any dog. If you had handcuffs on and your face was like taped up and muzzled, you would try to get it off too.
To the owner, I like you, but I don't respect you, to be anthropomorphic about it.
No, that's not what I see. I mean, to be fair, she doesn't seem to have a great bond with her owner. But you know what? The owner doesn't respect her dog for being a dog. The owner doesn't respect that this is fear. The owner sees it as the dog's problem. The dog is the one that needs to be fixed. Not, it's a bond issue. We need to build our bond. We need to build our own, understanding of a dog, of our specific dog. We need to have a regular schedule with the dog and be consistent. I mean, it seems like the dog's just kind of going all over the place, like, between her moms or staying other places. I mean, I get it, but if you're going to be blaming all this on the dog is just being a dog. They are a product of their environment. And so, and whether it is, a built-in mindset of dominance, or there are dogs, that there are certain breeds. A lot of the bully breeds are made and reproduced to be very either independent minded, or some people might say they're stubborn, or they're just very, very confident, overconfident. They're fearless. They're large and in charge. A lot of terriers are like that. Lakelands or Jack Russells. Spitz breeds, of course, Shibas. Huskies, Lycas. A lot of dogs have been made that way, but it doesn't mean that that's all we see them as. You have to understand your breed and your individual dog.
All right, so we're going to get Prince here, and then you're going to see. Look, why isn't she being reactive?
Because he's not coming to her. He's in a corner. She sees a way out. He's not looking at her. She's going to go sniff. He's not coming towards her face.
Her point across with that pin kind of thing in the corner. She didn't pin him, but and look, he's happy. He's not.
He's forcing. He is not happy. They're making him shark bait now. He is forcing this dog who could care less to sniff him. And I hate when trainers do this. Don't force something that doesn't need to happen, especially if you have them who's vulnerable. They have their good bits and bobs over here, and they have teeth at this end. Just don't force it. This dog doesn't care.
But
if she wanted to say hello, she would have. She doesn't need your help to force her into his business.
Look at, she's like, nah, I told him what was up. I'm the boss. He knows I'm the
No,
boss.
she didn't. She never said that. She doesn't care about him, which is great. She's indifferent to him. When he's not, in her mind, from what I see, thankfully they took the red collar off. When he doesn't appear to be threatening her, she doesn't care about him. So you forcing this could cause her to care about him now and see that she can bite at him or bark at him and he moves away. Her goal, from what I've seen, is just for him to leave her the heck alone. This is just idiotic.
Everyone knows I'm the boss.
There. No, that's not at all what I see. Dogs like that do not have whale eyes like this. Tails low to their body. They look like Prince. Dogs who think that I'm the boss. If she thought she was the boss, believe me, she would have pulled you to Prince. She would have gotten right up in his face. She would have been sniffing him. She would have been sniffing the groin. She would have been sniffing his testes. She would have been all over him with very tall, stiff tail and very forward body language. She is not at all emitting that. Not from what I see. Because we see Prince. He runs up all over the place. When he first met her, he might have been sniffed her here. He tried to put his head and mouth over her shoulders. That is a very dominant type of, or domineering type of behavior. This dog is not trying to be boss by any means. But, what do I know?
There was a meet.
That was not a meet. That was cornering your own dog, putting him in harm's way, and forcing her near him when she doesn't care to say hello to him. And I don't know if they were wet and running around, or if this is like really sweaty paws. But if they are sweaty paws, that's a sign of a very stressed dog, because they sweat and pant through their tongue, and they also sweat through their paw pads. So if you ever remember taking your dog, to, or even cat or rabbit too, I guess, to the vet, and you put them on the little table, you can see when they move away, a lot of times you'll see these little wet footprints. Now this could be drool, it could be her drooling. Again, another sign of overstimulation. She's stressed, she's hot, even if it's 25 degrees Fahrenheit outside where it's really cool, she can still start to overheat by just getting overworked up and amped up. So we're going to see what kind of homework he has to give her.
4 things. Jumping.
And it doesn't seem like she really even feels confident in learning anything she did here. It seems like it's just a waste of her time.
Loose leash walking. Coming. Does she sleep in your bed?
Yeah.
These are the 4 things that you...
Nothing wrong with that. Her sleeping in the bed is not going to equate to her being aggressive. A lot of people will say that, but no, it's not. It's not them being dominant. It's just, in this case, it doesn't pair as only that. Just because there's no, it's not as simple as that. So jumping, yeah, you can work on that. Loose leash is the first thing I would work on. I wouldn't worry about them sleeping in the bed. I wouldn't worry about that. I would work on you bonding with your dog, understanding her cutoff signals, her stress signals.
Gotta stop immediately. Okay? She can't jump on anybody.
I mean, this is not going to help her. Except for the loose leash walking. That's, in my opinion, the only thing that would help her. Jumping, yes, that's something that we can work on. Absolutely. That's more of a manners thing. That's not my priority. Loose leash walking, yes. Not because of control, but because of where the dog's mindset is. If the dog is pulling really hard, they're not able to focus on you. If they're over threshold, they're pulling. They can't just sit still. They can't, when they're pulling and they go into opposition reflex or they're overstimulated, their brain goes from what I've heard, they go from, hindbrain, which is reactive, fight or flight, instinctive, and if you can stop them from being in fight or flight, they go to front brain, which is where they're more, I guess more logical, you could say. I don't know if a dog, can be logical, but they're thinking, it's their thinking brain. It's not their lizard brain. They're thinking, they're focused on you, they can listen. So loose leash walking for me is far more important, and not in the means of control, as in, don't you dare walk in front of me, but because I still have the dog's mind. They haven't gone red, they haven't gone over threshold. If I have them on a loose leash, then I can start working on things like calling them to come to me. Now, recall, Also very important for a number of reasons, for having really good control of your dog, having a bond with your dog. If you are going to take her out to go run around, then yes, we want to be able to call her back, and she can come to us, but that doesn't mean that we take advantage of that. If you go to a dog park or somewhere and say the beach, let your dog go off leash and run, and you call them to you, and then you immediately leave, your dog may not want to come to you when called next time because they associate, when I come to you, we leave. I don't want to leave because it's fun. So a tip that can help is if you don't want to ruin the word or behavior, call your dog to you, leash them up, let them go again. Call them back to you, leash them up, let them go again. Or leash them up and walk around the beach for another 5 or so minutes, or around the dog park, or go sniff something, and then you can leave. Just think like your dog and try to make it, the Premack principle. You eat your vegetables, you get your dessert. You do something for me, you come and leave this stick alone, I leash you up, and then we get to go sniff over here, or we get to go walk where you want to walk for a few minutes, or I let you go and you get to go play with the stick again. Sleeping in the bed, I don't care. I would never even ask half the questions that he asks. The dog sleeping in the bed her stopping the dog from sleeping in the bed is not going to translate to stopping this dog from being reactive to other dogs. That is not a sign of dominance or anything like that. If the dog were to get in bed and start growling and controlling who gets in the bed and who doesn't, that can be a different story. And that would be, I would personally have to see the totality of circumstances in which the dog is protecting the bed, and other resources even from their human. If that is a case, which I've seen, dominance and having a kind of personality type, it's not really a personality type, but you have like nature and nurture. If you have a dog that is more independent minded or more, more confident, and then you have a person feed into that, then yes, that can lead to an issue. Like Prince, I think, he goes and pees on everything, including people, including dogs' heads. That is a personality of nature and nurture. Where he's a confident dog, and then Joel has nurtured that and allowed him to continue with that behavior.
Most of all, you or your sister. She has to learn to walk on a loose leash. She has to learn to come when called, and she can't sleep in anybody's bed.
That has nothing to do with anything.
Okay. Jumping. You're going to?
Okay, but he doesn't explain why he doesn't want her doing any of these things. He just says, this is what I want you to do. Here's how to do it. That's it. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
It's a percentages game.
Nice. So, nice having your own video playing in the background.
Like if she was a better, understood the leash more, we would have not seen the craziness out here of just saying, I'm on a leash, I'm going to lunge at that dog. She'd still have reactivity. Dogs running up to her would have still been bad, but if we can reduce some of that.
Okay, so he does have a slight understanding of that. He's showing that she would not have been as reactive, but he still doesn't change anything about the fact that he would still have dogs run up to her on leash. That's the problem. You are setting her up for failure. I think he knows more than he shows, but he wants a good show. He wants the views of a good before and after, and it's not even really a good before and after. It's just flooding.
40%. This is all changing her mindset. You don't.
Oh, a little cutie. So she does have the other collar on. I don't know why she still has it on.
Or when I see a dog do whatever the hell I want and lunge.
No, a dog does not just lunge because they do whatever the hell they want. They lunge because they feel trapped and because they're fearful. And otherwise, they would have run away. Most of the time, they would run away. But when they're trapped on a leash and they're tied to us and we're over controlling, then they say, okay, my flight option is I can't use that. So I have to fight. Dogs have like the 5 Fs. Fight, flight, fiddle, faint, or freeze. Fight or flight, we know that. Run or fight. Fiddle, they may dance around. They may show, calming signals or stress signals. Faint, they just play dead. Or freeze, they just freeze up. They show learned helplessness. That can be lead to a very dangerous situation because the dog could learn to, to bite out of nowhere.
Okay. When I say come, you're going to end up next to me. And she's going to go, well, I might as well just go to that lady. She's going to come get me.
I'm going to go over a video of his of how he teaches recall, which I think is just absolutely unnecessary. He doesn't care what the dog wants, and so that's why he has no bond with the dog. And he ruins, in my honest opinion, I think he ruins every other person's bond that they've ever developed with their dog when they come and work with him.
Knee, jumping, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, when she jumps, knee her in the chest, be more aggressive, all that's just not necessary. So apparently that's his plan. I mean, I'm sure he goes into more detail with her, but I think I've gone over this video long enough. So thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Let me know what you all got from this video, what you think I got wrong, or what you might have done differently, or what you noticed. I'm always happy to see, if you guys see something that I don't see. Or there's many ways to interpret things. I'm not saying that I'm the end-all, be-all, I know everything by any means. This is just what I see. So thank you so much for watching. We are almost to 1,000 subscribers. I am so happy and very excited to hit that next big goal. So if you do like the content and you want to subscribe, it is very much appreciated. But thank you so much, everyone. Go say hi to your little critters. Give them some kind of loving. Say howdy do for me. And until next time, practice some peace, patience, and positivity. We'll see you guys.